spite of our government's positive overtures to the papal visit later this year, not everyone in Britain shares this sentiment. Protests against both the unnecessary £20 million plus cost for the bigot of Christ's visit, at a time when the British taxpayers are being expected to tighten our belts, and backlash against the Catholic Church's medieval views on women and hatred towards gay people are starting to kick off. So, if you don't feel that you want a hate preacher on our soil, paid for with your money, there are a couple of petitions that I urge you to sign. The first is from the National Secular Society, protesting against the cost, and this is mentioned in the video to which this is a response. I've put a link up in the sidebar, so you don't even have to type in the URL yourself. The second is a petition to number 10 by Outrage, protesting against the visit on moral and ethical grounds. There have been a number of high-profile hate preachers banned from entering these islands over the past few years. And whilst I'm not generally in favour of censorship, I feel it's only fair that if we're banning Muslim hate preachers, we should do the same for the Christian ones. Let's take a look at Pope Ben's current track record to figure out whether he fits the bill as someone we would consider as a desirable guest to our shores. As Cardinal Ratzinger, Pope Ben sent out a letter to bishops instructing them to thwart any attempt at bringing to justice those Catholic clergy who were accused of raping children. When apologising to the US people about these same scandals, Ben laid part of the blame with the US people because of their lax morals. So it was a case of, I'm sorry, but, well, you did bring it on yourself, so I'm not really that sorry at all. Pope Benedict welcomed Holocaust denier Bishop Richard Williamson back into the Catholic Church, in spite of international outrage. Pope Benedict is against the use of condoms. He and his church have campaigned in Africa to spread lies about the effectiveness of condoms in preventing transmission of the HIV virus. As a consequence, he and his church are directly responsible for assisting the spread of AIDS in Africa, resulting in hundreds of thousands of new cases of HIV infection, and the burden that this places on an already poverty-stricken people in caring for sick and disabled, not to mention, of course, the resulting orphans where the people who become infected are unable to get access to the drugs that might prolong their lives. Pope Benedict has pronounced that gay and transgender people are a greater threat to humanity than global warming and the destruction of the rainforests, and that gay people should not be entitled to the same rights as everybody else, because it infringes on the rights of those people who like to believe in his particular brand of superstition and magic. If he's allowed to enter this country, he will doubtlessly repeat his lies and hate speech. By condemning gay people as against God and against nature, he's giving the green light to anyone who would oppress or harm gay people in the name of God's holy work, although he has been very careful not to come out and say anything quite so direct just yet. As it stands, though, his forthright hostility towards gay people sends out a clear message to the faithful as to how gay people should be treated. So, if you feel that our country would be a better place for not having a hate-mongering, misogynistic, homophobic aider and abetter of child rapists invited in as a guest of the people, please sign the outrage petition. Link up in the sidebar. Let's send an unambiguous message to this shabby piece of work that we, the British people, like to think of ourselves as tolerant and having a strong sense of fair play. People who like to preach superstitious bigotry and hatred aren't welcome, regardless of whether they sit under the sign of a crescent, a cross, or a swastika.